Hi, everybody. This is Miguel Pena, president of the Southern Florida Concierge Association. As I mentioned in today's podcast, we have in our new home. This is going to be the SFCA podcast studio. It will start on Monday, February 1st. As you can see, it's just a shell, but we've got a lot of creative ideas that are going to go on. In today's podcast, if you weren't part of it, you can now hear it recorded. We had Ceci Velasco from the Ocean Drive Association. We had Gisela Marti with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we had our friends at Decobikes, also called Citibike, Colby Reese. He is the founder and executive marketing officer. If you have not been able to see it live, now you can do it now, recorded. So click and enjoy. It's 1 hour long. Have a great day.
Hello and welcome to the SFCA podcast. Our goal is to inspire travel. We want to expose you to what Miami and South Florida has to offer. From Key Biscayne to Coconut Grove, South Beach to Calle Ocho and everywhere in between. Miami is a vibrant city and offers a wide array of popular attractions and venues. Come join us. So good morning, everyone, for joining us. My name is Miguel Pena, president of the Southern Florida Concierge Association. This is our monthly Zoom call. If you have not been on it before, welcome. For those of you that have not been on before, you can always go back in prior Zooms. We started this back in April at the beginning of the pandemic. You know, as Winston Churchill said, from tragedy comes opportunity. And this was an opportunity because we probably would have never, ever done this if the pandemic never started. So although that's bad, this is certainly good and it's moving forward. We've got many things to discuss today. What a month it's been. Definitely movies and books will be written about this. 2 vaccines are in active distribution, Pfizer and Moderna. J&J is just weeks away with the single shot immunity. Social insurrection on the 6th of January. Who would have thought that? A new administration under federal protection of 25,000 military to ensure the safety of the Capitol and its citizens. As the rest of the country continues to remain closed, moving shutdowns, Miami thrives. Why? Because of the amazing hotels, the beautiful beaches, and of course, the beautiful people. I speak to many people on a daily basis in my discipline, and they constantly telling me that the North is like a ghost town and everybody's coming down here, not only just on leisure, but I see that the real estate community is booming as well, both vertical and out in the suburbs, buying homes up north and out west in the Kendall area as well. Locally, we are the center of vaccine tourism. There was a piece on CNBC a few days ago that over 65,000 foreigners have actually gotten vaccinated in Miami-Dade County, which takes away from those individuals locally. So they're now enhancing the system. So you need to show some type of identification that shows that you are local and you reside here at least a percentage of the year. The most affluential zip codes, who go figure, like Fisher Island and all Star Island and all the other ones already have vaccinations. I guess they have some type of medical concierge of sorts that make sure they get taken care of. And soon we will have vaccine distribution at Walgreens, CVS, and Publix for everyone. So I'm wondering, out of curiosity, and you can certainly shoot throughout the Zoom call through a chat. Let me know what you think if you're going to vaccinate or not. And this is going to be an ongoing poll throughout. So the 38 people that have already joined us, please just shoot me a quick yes or no, and then we'll tally it up towards the end. Today on our call, we have some amazing individuals. As always, my 2 lovely young ladies have joined us from the beginning, Gisela Marti from the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as Ceci Velasco with the Ocean Drive Association. Ladies, thank you for joining us. And today, a special guest from Decobikes, which was rebranded Citibike some time ago, Mr. Colby Reese. He's the co-founder and chief marketing officer. Before we get into them, I just want to mention to all of our concierge members out there, I hope you're doing well. I know some of the hotels have opened, some have opened without concierge, some have blended concierges. What we're doing on our end is a couple of things. I've got one group of people going door to door, hotel to hotel, to ensure that we are communicating with the hotels. If there's a concierge in play, then obviously we communicate with that concierge. If there's not a concierge and there's somebody in their place, we certainly want to share information with them, but we also encourage them to bring back the concierge when suitable. We do not want you to be replaced. We are not going to replace you either. We are not in that business of taking over desks. That's not my intention or the intention of this board. but we do want to share the communication with all of our hotel partners as well as residential partners. And then we have on the residential side, we have a couple of admins that are assisting me. We've identified over 180 condominiums, residential high-end condominiums, and we're going door to door to those to get their information so we can create some type of dialogue that'll help us and probably even the Bureau moving down the line in communicating with the local public as well, not just the travelers and the tourists, but the locals that are here that want to know about the restaurants and the nightlife and so on and so forth, and maybe even have some advantages to them. So those are the things that we're doing on our end. As far as me, this will be my last broadcast from my home. As I was mentioning to our panelists, I do this out of my living room. I have my entire dining room table set up with all the equipment to do this. And now we're moving into our offices in downtown Miami, right across from the American Airlines Arena at Miami Shared on the 5th floor. You're always welcome to come by, and we will have hopefully in-house guests as well as doing this on Zoom for those that can't join us, obviously, but hopefully our panelists and some of our guests will be in-house. So that's all I have for my end for the moment. I'm sure I'll come up with a lot more, but now I'd like to introduce you to a person who's completely changed the way that people move throughout the city. And I'm not talking about cars. I'm not talking about the electric scooters. I'm talking about bicycles, things that energize, exercise, motivate, and get the blood flowing. That gentleman is Mr. Colby Reese, co-founder and chief marketing officer for Citibikes. Colby, welcome.
Thank you for having me here, and I'm excited to bring you an update. I am Colby Reese, as Miguel introduced me. I'm one of the founders for Decobike and Citibike, and we are just wanted to touch on a little bit of background information, as most people I assume are familiar with who we are, but there might be some behind the scenes things that people aren't aware of. And so I just wanted to put sort of a face with the name and a little bit of information on what's going on. So our company is Decobike LLC. We're the owner and operator of Citibike Miami. We're a local Miami company. We operate from the Wynwood area, as well as having a store, an actual retail store location for customers and our members to come in South Beach at 723 Washington Avenue. We have about 50 full-time staff members, and we operate in 4 different municipalities in the Miami area. We originally launched in 2011 as Decobike, and it was a great success and a big hit kind of from the minute we started. And we relaunched in 2015 as Citibike after partnering with Citibank for a title sponsorship. So for those of you who are not familiar with where exactly we operate, this map kind of shows you where our stations are. We have incredible coverage throughout Miami Beach, especially in South Beach and downtown area, the Brickell area. We are the official operators for the cities of Miami Beach and Miami, as well as Bay Harbor Islands and Surfside. So we have 165 solar-powered bike share stations deployed throughout those municipalities, as you can see on the map. We have roughly 2,000 bikes operating in the fleet, and we operate 24/7, 365. And we have some cool things coming this year, which we'll be adding electric bikes into our fleet probably in summertime. We're waiting on some final approvals from the cities, and we're excited about that to be a new addition to the fleet. So ridership, this is something that most people in SFCA probably are not aware of, is sort of what the data looks like and how many people actually use the program. So since we've opened, we've logged over 12 million rides, 25 million miles traveled on the fleet, and over 1 billion calories burned by our riders. Also, it's a green way of getting around. So the idea is obviously to get people out of cars, or not, they don't need to wait for an Uber if they can grab a Citibike, et cetera. Get them from point A to point B quickly and affordably. And also there's really nothing better than sort of being out on a bike, out on the beach, enjoying the outdoors versus being in a car stuck in traffic. So you pick your own route, you pick your own pace, and it's really the best thing to do, especially for visitors. We have just a huge pool of people trying to get on these bikes. So who's riding? About 2/3 of our ridership is from locals, and that's people who are residents that want to use the system on a monthly membership basis, which is pretty common. We have thousands and thousands of people that take advantage of that. And about a third of our trips that we log are for visitors and tourists, and then some locals that might not have a membership. So we have thousands of tourists that are using Citibike on a daily basis. And it's really become sort of a go-to attraction for when people are here, as some sort of fun activity for them to get out and go cruise around, go to South Point Park or ride on Ocean Drive or take a ride around the Perez Art Museum or whatever it might be near Bayside. So we were closed for about 6 months by order of the county for COVID, when COVID first started spiking, and it was sort of a safety precaution that was done out of an abundance of caution. And so we've reopened, we reopened in September, and we introduced a bunch of new safety measures so that people feel comfortable on the bikes, which includes enhanced daily cleaning of the bikes and stations. We've added hand sanitizer dispensers at all of our stations for our customers' comfort and convenience, and so that they don't have to carry their own hand sanitizer, which they can use before or after their trips. Safety messaging at our stations, and our staff also has a lot of new procedures that they need to follow for added safety, including gloves and masks, whatnot, when handling bikes and working on the stations. So some interesting things about our program is we have one of the most convenient systems to use in terms of the number of stations per square mile or kilometer, and it makes it very easy to find a Citibike station. You can easily use our app, a Citibike Miami app, or our website to see our map to find where the closest stations are. We are pretty much at or near most major hotels, condominium buildings, parks, shops, beaches, attractions. We have an incredible station network. So to give you an example, in South Beach, there's about 20 stations per square mile. And so you really literally have one either in front of you or on your block or maybe 1 block away, which makes it very convenient. We also have one of the best supply in terms of bike to residents. The ratio, we have about 1 bike per 100 residents in our service zones, and our ridership continues to increase annually each year, with the exception of the months we were closed for COVID by order of the county, but we're excited to be rocking and rolling again now. One of the other things that people might not know about us is that we are really an engaged community member. Since we opened in 2011 and rebranded in 2015, we've been a part of just about everything going on that we could physically participate in. Tons of charitable events, environmental stuff, whether it's Earth Day, Art Basel, different safety events, and other charitable fundraisers. We participate in a variety of ways, and we've also been a member of the GMCVB for many years, which is an incredible partner, the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and of course, the Concierge Association. So we're really excited. It's been a pleasure to work with everybody on all of these organizations, and still doing it 10 years later shows that that there's something good that comes out of it for everybody that participates and works together. And I just wanted to thank all of the concierge that have participated in our program and referred us customers. And we've taken a lot of requests from adding new bike share stations at certain hotel properties or in front of them or near them so that we can better serve their guests. We've done things like that for the W South Beach. We added a station for the Edition Hotel to serve some of the guests in that area. So we're always interested in looking into areas where we might not have a station, or a hotel might be better served, and the concierge are sort of on the front line to know if there's some locations that would benefit from a new station. And most importantly, we have a policy to make sure that all concierge have a complimentary membership at Citibike Miami, so that you are able to test it out yourself and understand how it works. And it's a great way to supplement having a vehicle when you need to get around, whether it's going to take a spin for fun or grabbing some groceries or whatever it might be. So we always have that policy, and want to make sure everybody is on board with that. If you don't have one and you're a concierge, please feel free to reach out to us. And that's pretty much it, Miguel. I wanted to just provide a little bit of an update, a little bit of background information on sort of where we're at. And we've had December was great when we first reopened. October was a little bit slow, but as November came in, November was much busier than October, and December was pretty much back to normal sort of ridership that we saw last year. I'm sorry, in the prior year before COVID kicked in. So people are back out on the bikes, and you can see them riding all around. And so we're very excited about 2021.
Definitely. Cool. So thank you very much for the presentation, Colby. Wealth of information. Now, question for you. Now, I noticed that the scooters were removed. Once again, the electric scooters removed from the various areas throughout the city. Have you seen a spike in your bikes?
We've continued to stay busy even with the introduction of the scooters. There's sort of a different market segment. What we see is a lot of younger people riding scooters, a lot of underage folks riding scooters, because you are supposed to be an adult for most micromobility devices. And I think that's caused some issues, but we've continued to stay busy. I think that with the scooters off the streets, we're probably a little busier in those areas in downtown than if they were operating in full force. So yeah, I mean, we've seen a definite uptick, just I would say in the last 2 months, and that could be a part of that.
Okay, cool. And probably will be some time until they get back as well. Thank you for that update. For those of you that have any questions for Colby, this is your time to ask. If you don't remember your question now and you have it sometime during the presentation, you're more than welcome to shoot us a chat, and I will be more than happy to address Colby directly. Or if it's a question for the entire group, I'll do that as well. Two more questions that I have for you, Colby. What happens if the bike is taken outside the regional limits?
So most people, when they access one of our bikes, they've provided credit card information, and they are supposed to return it to one of our docking stations. So our system is a dock-based system, meaning that when their trip is complete, they do need to return it to a docking station. Otherwise, their rental continues. So that's 99.9% of the time, that's how things happen. Otherwise, we do have some methods for tracking the bikes, but typically people end their rides at one of our stations.
Okay. And then just out of curiosity, how do you identify where to place the corrals, and I guess you have to get city permission for the corral since you're taking up a city street and removing a potential parking space of sort, or a few parking spaces due to the size of the corral?
Yeah, I mean, it's all dependent on the specific area. We always try to go off street first. If there's an area on a wide sidewalk or a swale or somewhere in on the edge of a grassy area, that's our first priority. If that doesn't work, then we could potentially be in some sort of on-street situation or a parking space. All of that's done in conjunction with the city, and they do normally provide those spaces. We have some private property situations where we've had hotels in the past want a station on their property, and we did that for years with the Surfcomer, for example, until they made renovations and we had to remove that. But that's not uncommon to be able to do that. So if there's privately owned real estate, we're able to easily go onto that. If it's on public property, we do have to go through some channels at the city, and they're usually very supportive if there's a case for use there. But I can tell you that some of our busier stations that do occupy parking spaces, we have one that occupies two spaces in the West Avenue area, and it has over 200 people use it a day. So imagine the benefit of having that space occupied for a bike share station versus someone parking a couple cars there, versus hundreds of people being able to use that little piece of real estate where the bike station sits.
Sure, so the benefit,
it's sort of a highest and best use scenario.
Correct. So the benefit outweighs the logistics. Question for you: what are the if you haven't mentioned, maybe I missed it, what are the top 5 stations, the most active stations, both on the beach and the mainland?
Good question. So on the beach, our busiest stations are definitely around the 23rd Street area, One Hotel, W South Beach, in that zone. Ocean Drive, I think our 10th Street station is one of the busiest. Also South Point Park, we've actually added extra stations. I think we have if I'm not mistaken, 3 stations now that are basically in or surrounding South Point Park. Super busy there. 5th Street and Ocean also busy. And for the residents, the West Avenue corridor and the Flamingo condominium zone is actually the busiest station out of the entire system. And that's used mostly by residents, a lot of people who are trying to get to work and not have to move their car around if they own a car.
There you go. Yeah, I see a lot of now. There's a lot of urban builds where there is no parking in the building, so that's pretty intense.
Yeah, and in downtown we have a lot of usage along Biscayne and also in the Wynwood area.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Colby. Anybody have any questions? Again, feel free to shoot us a chat either to Colby or any of the panelists throughout the conversation. Will be certainly directed to either the panelists in general or the individual that you're directing the question to. Our next presenter is Gisela Marti from the Bureau. Gisela, you want to share your screen? Make sure it's on. Yeah, permission. Yep, permission's been set. There we go.
You all see my screen?
We see it.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Great to be here, back again with you all. I think I missed being with you all for like the past 3 months, so
Yes.
It's great. It's great to be back. And Miguel, I look forward to perhaps coming out to and doing them in person with you, in the near future.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, so let me just move the slide. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay here with the slide. So just wanted, we're going to give you a really quick update on from a tourism perspective. And I just wanted to share with you here just a quick overview of actually research that you can find on our site on miamiandbeaches.com/research. And it gives you a really quick update on performance from an air perspective, hotel, and dining. So at the top is our kind of that green bar that you see is really the traffic at our airport. And what you see here at the end, that 42.1, so that is current for the last 90 days. So this is pretty current through earlier this week. So that really gives you a measurement of how busy the airport is. So these are an index. So assuming 100, the score of 100 is what we were at, and at optimum times, you see this 42 score. So we're nearly not even at a 50% of where we were at. But we continue to see some progress. We've had some really great numbers over the last, holiday period. I believe it was Jan 2nd, we had the busiest volume of passengers. It was almost 90,000. So what we're seeing is every month, kind of these little, these mini milestones of, achieving higher numbers, but it is happening gradually. This second bar, the yellow one, hotel, gives you again an indication of room nights sold. So again, bearing in mind the 100 being, the score from an index perspective of where we were at, at 100%. So we see that demand is growing. I mean, you can see some ebbs and flows, but overall, there's kind of this consistent kind of trajectory of growth. And then the last one is dining. And we like to measure that. That's from an open table. And it just shares with us, the number of consumers that are going out and going to restaurants. And we see that almost at 100%. So that's a good thing, at a score of 100, sorry. So this gives you a really quick preview of what the numbers have looked like over the last month. And as I mentioned, on Jan 3rd was kind of our busiest day, and that's here, if you see my cursor. So the orange is, just for context, is the numbers for last year. And then the blue is current, for 20 and 21. So overall, you kind of see this jagged up and down. But, overall, I think there's some really good things happening at the airport, and I'll share some of that with you. But I wanted to share with the group of how airlines are planning their seat capacity to come into our community. So at the moment, when we're looking at, January to June, we see about 12.5 million seats coming in that are planned to come in. And we continue to see this domestic trend, right? So it's more 56% of those seats are really coming from domestic markets versus 43% that are coming from international markets. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that. And so as you can see, the split is 7 million over the 5.5 million. So what I had mentioned earlier, we see a lot of great positive things happening at our airport, new carriers coming into the community, even during a pandemic. So it really shows and demonstrates the strength of our airport and really our market. So you've got a couple of carriers, which I think we all know and love and have been going to perhaps Fort Lauderdale to take them on a flight. And now they're going to be here in Miami. So the next one up that's going to be starting operation is JetBlue. So that's happening really soon, Feb 11. So we're really looking forward to that. And there's actually some more in the pipeline. So we're really encouraged by this. And some also, really good news on the cruise front. And we know that, that's been a challenge. Cruises have not been operating since March, but we do see this commitment to obviously, all of these infrastructure improvements and commitments that are moving forward by the cruise brand. So you may have heard recently about Virgin Cruises breaking ground in their terminal earlier this month, and that terminal is set to be completed by the end of this year. And actually tomorrow will be another groundbreaking also at the port for Terminal F for Carnival Cruise Lines, and they're going to be completing that terminal by 2022. So again, we continue to be encouraged by this news. So wanted to share an overview of hotel performance, not hotel performance, apologies, and outlook according to STR, and how they're seeing things play out for the hotel industry. And here in front of you, you have it by quarter. What we're seeing, if you look at the occupancy, so we're seeing kind of this gradual improvement over time. Obviously, the introduction of the vaccine, kind of that deployment is where we're seeing some really positive trending towards the second half of the year. We also see, if you look at the bottom, demand, and that is something that's really important. We keep our eye very close on that because that's really, really important. And we continue to see also this gradual improvement of demand over the course of the quarters. We'll still be obviously behind versus, when we're comparing this, by the way, to 2019. But we are, we're encouraged by some of the numbers that we're seeing. Wanted to share with you some recent, from a sentiment perspective. So how are consumers kind of feeling about, the virus and upcoming travel? And last week, I listened into Destination Analyst. Destination Analyst is a tourism marketing research firm. They've actually been doing consumer research every week since the pandemic started in March. And I wanted to just share with you some quick highlights from that last report from last week. And one of them is, understanding the current travel state of mind of consumers. So there was a question that was posed to them around, the excitement just to travel now. And the question was, imagine if a good friend or a close family member asked you to go on a weekend getaway next month, how excited would you be to go? And, really positive that more than 55% have indicated, yes, are excited. So that we're all, I think, in the right place to start traveling again. And what we're seeing is that's already a small increment versus when they did the survey last week, as an example. They also did a survey in terms of what's the impact of the vaccine and, what's the optimism for safe travel. And the question that was posed to consumers was, our recent news about the vaccine development, how does that affect your optimism about being able to travel in the next 6 months from us, safely? And again, look at the numbers, 59.6. So, that is really helping to that consumer sentiment and to continue to be positive. And then one of the other questions was asked is, when you're thinking about when you're going to travel, when is it that you're going to be traveling? So, we're looking at this trajectory and you see how it increases. And in the month of July, that's really going to be kind of, at the highest level. So we are kind of seeing this initial trend of having a very strong summer this year because of the correlation with the vaccine. And then the last one I wanted to share with all of us here that I was excited about is, so where are you thinking to go when you're going to be, traveling in the next 6 months? And, New York, Florida's number 2. So that's, fantastic for us. I mean, we're in the top 10 if you see Miami's is here, but we're very, very highly encouraged by all of this sentiment and in terms of the traveler mindset. So just wanted to quickly walk us through some of the recovery programs that launched in earnest really last June. But at any given time, we've had about a dozen programs, whether it's, and it's through our Miami Shines tourism recovery campaign, and whether it's, always advocating and letting travelers know first and foremost, they have to travel, responsibly and safely. That's always been our message. And, in all of the advertising, whenever we're talking to consumers, because that's really paramount. We continue to have programs with our OTA partners, because we know that's critical to drive room nights. That's really the primary goal of all of these programs. We continue to talk to meeting planners to continue to inspire them to book their meetings in a fabulous destination. And one of our most popular is our weather triggered. And if you've looked at what the weather's like in some of the northern parts of the country, it's really cold and lots of snow. So we've got this weather triggered retargeting that when the weather drops, consumers are being served with ads, with beautiful, ads to come to Miami. And some other really great programs, destination weddings. We know from hotels that's become a very important part of their business. But we've also got, we're still in our art, culture, and heritage months that launched in December. That's still in earnest through January. And we're getting ready to kick off our health and wellness month. So, lots of great programming. And all of this advertising has really generated some really positive momentum for us all. So looking at the last quarter of last year, we saw that all these programs generated, 275,000 hotel bookings, which is really very, 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 very successful. And, Miami Land is one of the campaigns that we just recently launched last fall. And this campaign has really resonated really well with consumers because it really talks about, our outdoor spaces, our parks, our beaches. So it's really, really been very, very successful. In fact, it's been our most successful campaign to date, and that one generating more than 200,000 hotel bookings in a very short period of time. So we're really, really excited about that. And then on the earned media side, our communications and PR team are constantly pitching stories to the press because it's important that we also get some love there. So I wanted to just share some really great articles and some very high profile publications. Recently, one on the left is New York Times, and this was a staycation article. On the right, you have one from Forbes, and that was really talking about Miami Art Week, although there was lots to see and do here in Miami, although we didn't have Art Basel in December. Condé Nast they publish every January, the winter escapes destinations, and we made that list. So again, really, really encouraged by that. And then finally, just some other publications, Travel and Leisure, really highlighting and talking about, all the incredible art that you can find in our community. And then obviously Forbes really nodding to the great dining and restaurants that we've got in our community. So this is just a quick example of some of the recent work. There's much, much more. But I just wanted to share some quick highlights. Wanted to share also my email if you want to reach out, if you have any other questions, I'm happy to and make myself available to you. So thank you. So thank you, Miguel. Thanks for the opportunity, and I turn it back to you.
Thank you for the wealth of knowledge, Gisela. Now you will present this. You will send this as an attachment to us so we can share with everyone.
Absolutely.
Great. While you were speaking, we had a few chats that requested if they can get that information. So we will make that available along with the video. Actually, before the video, because the video takes a few days to produce, we'll get that out to everyone that's on the call so you can share it and really go in depth. And hopefully, I want to follow up on those articles that you had mentioned in the back end. I'd like to read up on all that fun stuff. So thank you very much. The last month has been amazing. Why? Because we had the holidays, we had New Year's Eve. What's going to happen during New Year's Eve? Is everything going to be safe? Are we all going to succumb to COVID and be gone? So with that, I'd like to introduce you, Ceci Velasco. She's going to give us some update on how New Year's Eve played out on Miami Beach and what's moving forward with the beach. Ceci?
Hey, hi, how are you? You can see me, right? Yeah.
I can see you.
Oh, good. I'm on my phone. It's a better camera. We were discussing that. So New Year's Eve was, we were so worried that it would be disastrous and we would have just, a spreader and a huge spike, and that would continue to have that long-term effect. And everybody was cautious. And I think the industry was very responsible and responsive to that. I think that we also took the lead from our leadership to not make huge publicity of it, but we had a good New Year's Eve. We had a good New Year's Eve on Miami Beach. Our hotels were at 100% occupancy for New Year's Eve. We did not publicize fireworks, and I think that happened throughout the county. People were afraid to publicize in a big way to draw the big crowd, but at the same time, they wanted to be successful. They're open, of course, and they have overhead costs, and we're open for business. So that was the balance, and I think we balanced it very well. At the end, the city, and it was really difficult and challenging for me because the city asked me not to publicize fireworks. So when people are asking me if we were going to have fireworks for New Year's Eve, I really couldn't comment on that. However, I did let the hoteliers know, I did let our restaurants know for their guests that the city was planning to have fireworks. At the very last minute, the day before, they moved it from midnight to 10 p.m. with the idea that they didn't know whether midnight was going to have people stay longer past the midnight curfew, but midnight is traditionally when you have fireworks for New Year's Eve. So they moved it to 10 with the idea that they have fireworks at 10. It's kind of a surprise and a gift from the city, on South Beach anyway. And but then, the winds were about 25 miles an hour. They did one test and it was just going towards the buildings and it became a fire hazard. So at the very last minute, they pulled the fireworks. But I was out there and it was a very pleasant New Year's Eve. The park had people sitting in the park. The restaurants were full. The hotels in the entire district were full. During the day, people were walking up and down Lincoln Road with their new activation with the tropical gardens, right? What's the gardens? Giselle, what is the tropical gardens that they have a partnership? It's not the botanical gardens, but it's the tropical gardens. So they have these beautiful activations going on Lincoln Road, and everything is walkable. So what we're finding is people are going to Lincoln Road for the farmers market. They're coming to Española Way, which is beautifully decorated. They're coming to Ocean Drive to have their pictures taken and Instagrammable moments throughout the park. And then they came for the expanded restaurants. So we were pretty full on occupancy. Most of our hotels were at 100%.
Cool. And what's moving forward? What's the word about spring break? Are they doing something to deter spring breakers to come, or it's
So,
still in the works?
the past few years, we've had an organic, not permitted spring break per se, right? And the other thing that was part of the discussion is most of these kids aren't kids, and most of the people aren't on spring break. They're coming here during that time. They're not even college kids, right? So the college kids that we do have come and stay in hotels. They have a little bit of money to spend, whether it's daddy's money or they earned the money, or, they're taking their break from college and they're staying in our hotels. The issues that we have are the drivable people that come out to participate in something that has synergized and become organic. So the idea over the past few years is, let us just entertain those people so they're not milling around. They're not just drinking all day and doing other things. They're not just in the street in kind of a chaotic kind of street party. So last year they did have something, right? They didn't do it in a big way, because the other side of the argument is, why should the city be paying for their entertainment? And does that actually bring more people here that are in the street and we're at capacity? So that argument went back and forth. Last year they did something. This year, actually, they had a plan to put a whole program together for 6 weeks, and that was not funded by the city budget. So it went before the city commission and they denied that, with the idea that it's COVID, right? We're in COVID. So we should actually be deterring people from congregating in groups in the street. So I don't see them doing any publicity about don't come. There already still is the curfew at midnight, which assists that a little bit, because they can come and clear the streets out at midnight, so you don't have a late night. But what we find is, people go out to the beach at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. They start coming off the beach at 2. I call 3 o'clock the witching hour, because what we have is a conversion of people on the beach coming to Ocean Drive, and then the people from the city coming to Ocean Drive, because they know that is where they're going to meet everybody. So this conversion between 3 and 7 and 8 o'clock, that's our biggest time that we have to really manage those crowds. I think the fact that Ocean Drive is closed to vehicular traffic, Washington is now 2-lane. It's a little bit more challenging as far as coming with cars. There's limited amount of garages. We love the Citibike, right? Because now people can come and they, the locals can grab the bicycle. They can take advantage of driving their bike all the way up to North Beach, all the way down to the marina, all the way down to South Point Park, and they have all these different stations. We're reducing a lot of parking because of this. There's no parking now on Ocean Drive. Think about it. There's no parking on Ocean Drive. There's all those parking spaces gone. There's no parking on the side streets. All those parking spaces gone, right? There's limited amount now on Collins, because now we've moved the buses to Collins, the valet to Collins, and everything else. So there's a compression there. There's now only one way, but one lane of traffic on Washington either way. But guess what? Our hotels are still full, right? So it's kind of limiting the amount of cruising that's going around. It is opening it up to the tourists that are coming and staying. It's giving them an opportunity to be part of the South Beach experience instead of just coming in, grabbing an Uber and going somewhere else. We love the Citibike, and I keep reposting all their things because they have these beautiful pictures of the actual South Beach experience that's going on out there. So it's bikeable, it's walkable. The scooters are a little bit of an issue, and because they feel like they can go anywhere, whether the street's closed or not. So I know the city commission is dealing with that, but that's kind of all over. We see them jumping the sidewalks. We see them a little inexperienced drivers as part of it, right? And also going down areas where they're not really, vehicular traffic's not really supposed to go. But we see the occupancy is pretty high, and it is staying high. The ADRs are creeping back up. And so we love that too. So we're seeing, some really good stuff happening. Outdoor is everything, right? So Miami what is it? The Miami land, right? So that is all promoting going to the Redlands and going out here and going to the different parks and the nature areas. But we also have now more outdoor space, right? We have almost 30 acres in Lemons Park. We've got the whole beach, which is wide open. And then now we have the closed Ocean Drive, closed to vehicular traffic, and the cafes have expanded. So you have a wonderful outdoor experience right there in South Beach, which you didn't really have previously with no cars. So we're evolving. This is a temporary thing. It's now temporary till the end of March. The city of Miami Beach has contracted with Bernard Ziskovich and a team of other urban planning type people, Raymond Jungles for Lummis Park. So we're going to see some long-term developments. I will tell you from the aspect, you're the Concierge Association. So from the aspect of the hotels, one of the problems with having Ocean Drive shut to vehicular traffic is how do we get valet to the front door? And if you're in the middle of the block, you have a little bit more of a challenge because your customer is being dropped off on Collins or even further with a bunch of luggage. It's not a luxury experience, right? And those side streets just have road closure barricades. It's really not pretty. So we're pushing for beautiful signage and we're pushing for some addressing the issue of valet. We're not coming up with the answers, but we are saying you have to address the issue of rideshare drop-off, valet drop-off. It does rain 125 days out of the year. You could get caught. And then we have some ADA issues as well. So we're hearing from people and older people saying we can't get there. So those are some of the challenges in the evolution of the new Ocean Drive reimagining South Beach, but I think we're going to deal with all of that. One note that I do have, if I can continue, is that with all of this, we're seeing a development of office space, right? So people are moving down here to work and to play and to live. So we are seeing that right now they have to drive over the bridge to Brickell or downtown or Doral or wherever they have more industrial office space places. And if we want them to stay in Miami Beach, where everybody wants to live here, who doesn't want to live here, right? Right by the beach. We're seeing the development of office space. I know right now the old Bancroft Hotel, which used to be, passed a referendum for FAR, and they're going to replace their floor plates. The idea was to make it a hotel. They're now thinking maybe office space is better because the Axel just opened. We have the Moxie, we have the Good Time Hotel in Washington, which there are a lot of hotel rooms. Do we really need one more hotel in a smaller, it's a big venue, but at the same time, it's a historic building, or do we need really incredibly creatively spaced office space with a luxury gym, steps away from the beach? We have some really high-end people that are coming down here that want their little office space, but they want their luxuries. They want to, they want to be able to walk to the Betsy for lunch. They want to be able to walk to the beach, and do their swim in the morning and get back to their office and maybe work out with a beautiful gym or something like that. So we're seeing those kind of very out of the box kind of thinking on conceptually developing the area. So those are the kind of things that, I've been seeing. Pulling back the onion all the way to the core to development. Maybe they're addressing some rezoning and allowing some of those small buildings that are historic to add. That's the only way that you can make it profitable. I think a hotel isn't profitable unless they have over 40 rooms. And some of our Art Deco district are restricted to just a few rooms. And so the profit is coming from the restaurant, not the hotel. So we're looking at the opportunity to allow them to be more profitable in the Art Deco district. And the outdoor events, we had the South Beach Jazz Festival. We're going to have the Air and Sea Show. We're going to have the Selby Wine and Food Festival. All of those are still in the pipeline, and we are going to execute more outdoor things in a limited way. But so I think that's the key. We are finding that you can be profitable, you can reach occupancy, you can have a full restaurant without having huge crowds in the street and having this huge volume of people. And I think that is starting to turn the balance on what's going on in South Beach.
Oh, thank you for the update. Now, any word on the removal of the curfew? Have you heard anything through the pipeline when they're going to either push it back or eliminate it altogether? Just to give the nightlife community some type of breathing room, so to speak?
Yeah, I know Mangoes. I know I talked to David Wallach. He is planning to open in February. He was planning to open in November, December, January. Now he's thinking about February. Come Fall in Love is his theme. He wanted to be open by Valentine's Day, but I don't think he's even going to meet Valentine's Day, because that's the issue, right? How long is curfew going to be, and where is my profit margin coming through, and how can I reinvent myself as a nightclub and do it right? You have a lot of them that are open covertly, and unless because right now you have to be ambient inside, not just outside, but inside. The outside cafes are the easiest ones to find, but if you are, a closed door, black tinted nightclub, there's no way they know if you're open past midnight or not, unless somebody really complains, right? But technically, and also, if they do go inside, the music has to be ambient. How can you be a nightclub and be open and have a DJ and be ambient, right? So you have a lot of them that are pushing the envelope. Technically, they should not be open, but they are, right? But the midnight is the crutch. So if you want to do it right, you have to wait for that 12 midnight curfew. And I haven't heard anything indicating that they're going to lift that anytime soon. We still have, in the vaccine issue, actually at noon, I'm chairing the Tourism and Hospitality Council meeting for the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, and I invite anybody who really wants to hear more about the vaccine. I have somebody that's coming to talk about it. He was part of the trials for Moderna. So he's going to come and talk about what he experienced and what others have experienced through the trials for the vaccine, because that kind of is a deciding factor. Now, hospitality venues are saying that it's mandatory for your employees to have the vaccine. But if you have to be 65 and over, and how can you have the vaccine and go to work? So there's all of that. And then does that take my independent decision whether to have the vaccine off the table or not if I want to go back to work? So those are some critical issues that I think our industry is facing right now. Is, back in the vaccine tourism, I think is also, we have to, I've got older parents. We've got a digital divide. You can only get the vaccine if you get online, right? And we've got seniors that don't know how to get online. They don't know how to do any of that. So we had a digital divide with smaller children in the poverty level, not having access to Wi-Fi, internet, and good computers. Now we have the digital divide. It's ridiculous that 80-year-olds or 85-year-olds can only get an appointment on the vaccine through an internet, which is difficult to navigate to begin with, because it's not an easy peasy. When you get in there, you just get your appointment, right? So we're having some real issues with getting that vaccine out there, getting it to the right people. First responders need it. Our most vulnerable seniors need it. Our industry needs it, because we need to be able to show customers that we're safe and we're keeping them safe. So I think the vaccine is a really interesting question that needs to be out there. I question whether I'm going to take it or not. Given the opportunity to take it, I will. But I'm in that 60-year-old range that, how is it going to affect me? What are the after? These are questions that thoughtful people are going to ask.
Of course. Of course. Well, thank you very much for the update. Well informed. At this point, we've got about 4 minutes left. Anyone have any questions for the group? I've opened up the chat, so if you can just shoot me a quick chat, I will be more than happy to ask the question either to an individual or to everyone. For those of you who joined us a little late, we do record all of these sessions. They will be produced and then disseminated to everybody via email. Gisela already sent me the link for the PowerPoint presentation, which I will send shortly. Ceci, if you can shoot us a quick link in the chat to everyone of your call, the coordinates for your call at noon, so everyone has it. Just put it in the chat. So then if anyone's available, I would love to certainly hear what they have to say regarding the vaccine. So
I'm on my phone. I don't know how to do the chat. I'm sorry, but I will tell you, if you go to the MiamiBeachChamber.com website and you go to the events calendar, you can register for the call.
Okay, perfect. So Miami Beach Chamber, register for the call there. Excellent. So it looks like we have no questions. So I'm just going to do my real quick closing and we'll end up right about, no, that's an email. Never mind. Okay. So today's a special day for me. As I mentioned earlier in the call, we are now moving to an actual office in downtown Miami. That'll be our podcast studio, so to speak, as well as our SFCA office right across from the American Airlines Arena. So hopefully we'll have in-house guests as well as Zoom. So we're planning a lot of great things from there. That'll happen on February 1st on Monday. Times have been tough, but we're tougher. These times have not defined who we are, but certainly revealed our true potential. Lord knows we've endured some major challenges, but at the same time, opportunities have been created, such as this podcast. As I mentioned earlier, we'd have never communicated like this ever if it wasn't for COVID. So there are some silver linings to those dark clouds. We will get through this. Stay strong, stay focused. Two constants that we need to focus on is faith and love. The faith that we will get through this in time and be better in the end, and love for our family, friends, and most importantly, for ourselves. You are the catalyst for change. With that, everyone, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and we will be in touch. Colby, Gisela, Ceci, thank you again for your amazing efforts. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. God bless, and we'll see you soon.
Our goal is to inspire travel. We want to expose you to what Miami and South Florida has to offer. From Key Biscayne to Coconut Grove, South Beach to Calle Ocho, and everywhere in between. Miami is a vibrant city and offers a wide array of popular attractions and venues. Come join us.